Okay. Keep that tab running in the background. All right, looks like I'm going. Okay, so just gonna hop on the bike here real quick, and I can get started on this ride. Yeah, so set for today is pretty simple. Warm up, start real easy, about 162 wattage. Just got to get the trainer up and running. Then finish up at 180. Get into some intervals, some quick 45 seconds, just to start warming up. It goes by pretty fast, but first couple can hurt a little bit. And that, I believe it's 5 by 2 minutes at 380. So that's pretty solid right there. It's not crazy as far as duration goes. That's definitely the point. As far as activation sets go, more saving it up for Friday. I have a 17.6. Just gonna drop off the phone real quick. Don't need that. 17.6K TT on Friday on the bike. So who knows what that will give me. Probably hoping for just over 20 minutes. All right. So yeah, in Strava, I basically made the whole in Zwift, made the whole workout myself. Just playing around, and then a workout builder. It took me probably about 5 minutes to get done. It's not too hard. They got a great platform for sure. Really only been getting into it for the past 3-4 weeks since I joined Lance's program. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Definitely gonna get a lot of use out of it this year, I can tell. Especially in the winter. As far as December goes, it's pretty dang good. I'd be riding outside most of the time, but for key hard sessions or something you want to be very precise about, Zwift is by far the best. And it's not unknown for snow out here around Christmas time. Like last year, we had solid snow. You're basically on the trainer for all your rides. It's just not worth it for us to go out in a road bike and risk crashing or something like that. You can go for a bit of a cyclocross ride. It's not too bad, but even then you got to be pretty careful. So yeah, I could definitely see Zwift being really good for that. So I guess I can dig a bit into the workout and tell you guys while I'm warming up here. Got another just over 13 minutes. Slowly build it up. Yeah, so plan is just 16 minutes, kind of build into warm up. Start to feel, I think, up to 200 watts or something like that, so pretty easy. Then hit 6 by 45 seconds, first 3 at 360 watts, next 3 at 395 watts. So that's pretty solid. Just kind of waking up the legs. First couple always feel like garbage, but it's the kind of warm up that you feel better and better as you go along. Quick 3 minutes, 200 watts. So spinning, but still feel a little bit of something. Then going to 5 by 2 minutes at 380 with 2.5 minutes in between. So more than a 1-on-1 rest. So it's pretty generous for that. 380s about 20 watts higher than I have my FTP at right now. So it'll definitely burn a little bit, but it's not an all-out max effort by any means. Probably about an 8 or 9 out of 10, or 8, I'd say. If we're getting into 5 to 10 minutes reps on that kind of wattage, then it would be definitely about 10. So yeah, pretty excited for it. Never done live stream setup like this, but it's fun to play around with it, and I'm willing to try something different. And it's fun to have you guys with me. Fortunately, can't read the chat as of right now. Something I do want to play around with a bit more, but I'm definitely still figuring out the whole live streaming thing and social media stuff. But yeah, hopefully you guys like it. Like seeing me suffer a little bit on the porch of pain, I guess I call it. Yeah. So we're about 10 minutes. Oh my gosh. Set goes by pretty fast when you're talking like this. I'll be able to talk for a little bit on the warm up and cool down, that's for sure. But beyond that, mainly just sucking wind and trying to, really focusing on technique and stuff on the ride. Believe it or not, there is some stuff you can do. There's some technical cues that you can have on them, even on the wind trainer. It's not just pushing pedals and cranking out watts. For me, it's really focusing on my breathing, keeping a nice long spine, not overly hunching over, because that compromises your breathing. It can start to affect you a little bit more once you go to the bike, start onto the run. So, yeah, currently just thinking about that kind of stuff. The harder you go, the less things that you can really keep in your head at the same time. So, start with a couple things. By the end of it, when you're starting to get more fatigued, just having one simple cue or something in your head, keep you going is pretty good. All right. So, yeah, got it all set up on this erg motorcycle, which is pretty nice. You don't have to do any short shifting at all, which is just lets you focus on the effort and stuff. Because, hard to get that exactly dialed in as far as perfect wattage. Being able to choose what cadence you want to push that out at is pretty nice too. As far as cadence goes, I'm definitely on the higher side. Even right now, I'm sitting at 95. Pretty normal for easy stuff. Going to 20-minute style efforts, it's not uncommon for me to be sitting above 100. For 4 minutes, 110. Sometimes when I'm pushing up big numbers, is pretty normal. Just find it helps. Shift the effort a little bit to my lungs rather than my legs, and when I come off the bike feeling a lot fresher. You can lose the race and swim the bike, but you got to be able to perform on the run. And that's the big thing. You got to just stay in the pack, especially for ITU stuff. Stay in the pack, stay safe. Up near the top third. Then set yourself up for a good run. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Getting up to about almost 200. So, still just above 55%. My FTP, so still pretty easy. I'm still able to talk, but as you can probably hear, I am breathing a little bit. Like heart rate's only at about 126, so that's like in a long aerobic ride, I'd say, or easy ride kind of heart rate. I have a pretty low heart rate. If I'm maxing out at 170, 175 on the bike, it's 130 is not too bad. I think it's partly genetic for me. Dad's always been that way. I've always had a very low heart rate. So, as long as you're within a certain percentage of your own maximums, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, Surprisingly, not feeling too bad on the bike today. Might change my opinion when I get into the harder stuff. But yesterday was a pretty solid set. Got back in intervals for the first time this year, or this season, I guess. Nothing crazy, like 3x2 minutes, around 3-minute K pace, and with equal rest, and 6x1 minute, around 250 to 255. Again, with equal rest into 4x3 minute hill rep, which is easy jog back down. Still solid, 20K work by the end, or well, 19.4, I guess, technically. That's almost 20, I can't believe it's 20. So, yeah, this morning, a little bit heavy in the legs, but, swim can shed out pretty well. And, swim like this morning definitely did. We had about 2x800 in the pool, strong, so, that's about 95%. Not quite 100%. I feel like it, or definitely felt like it in the last, 200 meters of the second effort. Was, happy with, what was it? I think 9:32, 9:38. So pretty consistent. Only losing 6 seconds from the first to the second. I'll take that for today. We're swimming in an undisclosed location, but you can still check it out. I post a fair few photos on Instagram and on the Facebook story and stuff like that. Y'all can figure it out. You're pretty smart. But yeah, we're pretty lucky that way. Sharpie and I and Lance, we're able to swim in the location and not have to worry about pool space, which is a huge issue right now for a lot of folk. Either had missing out or does not have access to it whatsoever. We're really lucky that way, and I don't take that for granted at all, because it's tough for sure, especially with swimming, such a technical sport that you spend a couple of months out of the water and you feel like you're starting from scratch again. Of course you're not, but it can feel that way for a couple of weeks. I definitely noticed that the first part of the year here, like April, May, June, we didn't have any access whatsoever, so a lot of trying to do prone paddling or other kind of gym work or something in muscles, but you don't get the same feel responses you do when you're actually swimming, because it's just such a foreign thing for your body to do. It can take years to get that, and as soon as the lakes were open, we're pretty much in there right away. We started wetsuit, full thing, maybe only half hour at the start, just because it's so cold. You don't want to go hypothermic. That's definitely not the goal. But slowly kind of pushing the swims out, and maybe that's actually a good thing, because you're building the distance as you're getting worn out and your body's getting more adapted to swimming again, because you go from nothing, like 0K a week, up to like what? Right now, 5 swims a week, give or take 4K a day, 20K, go back into that, you're just asking to hurt yourself again. So, no, it's good. And, Victoria, we're blessed by having so many great lakes around. Thetis, of course, the classic training stomping ground for athletes here, or Durant's, which is my personal favorite, a little bit more quieter and higher up. Then you can always swim in trusty old Elk Lake, which I'm, all 2 minutes away from, which is pretty incredible as well. You're spoiled for choices as far as pools go here, or lakes, I should say. Yeah, so they're only 2 minutes. Building up into about 2:25 for this. So it's good. Yeah, I'm feeling actually pretty warmed up today for this. So ready to give it a bit of a crack. After this, got what? little bit of leg in the gym, or leg dominant stuff in the gym, but it's taking to be relatively light, probably about 80% of the weight that I would normally do, which still ain't a lot considering triathlete and all, but take a little bit lighter. The plan is to really give that, said on Friday, a good go. That bike on Friday, like tomorrow is very easy for me. Just 40-minute very easy run, around 4:04. That's a bit slower than I run most of my aerobic stuff. And then an hour 20 on the bike, a couple little high cadence works and single leg things just to keep your body connected while you're going easy. But that's it. Like 2 hours is nothing. I know. Days like Friday and Sunday last week, I was up to about 6, so it's a fair bit of a difference. And even some days it's better to have a bit of active recovery, a couple hours like that. You feel a lot better than taking a full day off. A lot of times I find with my body, I feel lethargic and grumpy and just kind of stiff if I take a full proper day off. And I don't really get that too much with just active recoveries. So, all right, I got about 10 seconds. Yeah, anymore, just because of this, the efforts and all that. So, yeah, I'll try and talk a little bit as we go along in the recovery. There we go. That's the first one done. So, yeah, stung a little bit, but it's to be expected. Definitely make sure to bring like 2 bottles for these rides. They may only be an hour long, but it's, you're sitting here, not getting the wind in your face like you would while you're riding outside. It's still 6-7 degrees out here, but you'd be impressed by the amount you can sweat. So being static like that, like I got a little floor fan here set up, trying to keep me cool. Yeah, even still, I've got a little water, bottle of Gatorade. So I will try and go through at least a bottle and a half here. 1 sec. Next interval. So yeah, at least a bottle and a half. First bottle here, just pure water. Second bottle, a little bit of blue Gatorade. It's a bit more salt mixed in, just because I do sweat so much. And having a little bit of carb on the bike helps, even just psychologically, having a bit of a rinse in your mouth between efforts. It can be really nice mentally. Oh. All right. So Yeah, I'll talk about my cadence on the next one. I don't want to have too much time to really talk about or what I think about as cadence goes on these warm-up intervals. But you can probably guess by how high it is what my opinion is. Yeah. So yeah, for warm-up intervals, I definitely try and keep my cadence pretty high, around 110 and 115. So that's pretty solid. Very much on the high side for most triathletes. Lots of guys are pushing 85, 90, especially for the half and full distance. But that's just the way I'm built, I guess. What I've always felt more comfortable doing. As you can see, I'm starting to sweat pretty good. We're not even in the main set yet. So, whew. The next three are a little bit higher pace, 395. So, a little bit above what I'm going to do, the 2-minuters. And yeah, even if it's just psychological, having, pushing 395 for 45 warm up, and then, doing 15 watts less for the main set can feel pretty good. And you kind of just reassuring yourself, like, yeah, this is well within my capabilities to do, and just telling yourself, like, yeah, encourage self-talk. It's makes a big difference, especially on days, on indoor training sessions. It's pretty easy to get in your head and feel like you're getting bogged down in the effort, but all right. Second here. All right. That's the one thing about erg mode. That's a little bit suboptimal. It takes about 15 seconds to get bike up to speed. It's not the end of the world for longer intervals, but 45 seconds You don't want the first third of it to be actually getting up to the bar. But that being said, you do compensate with slowly ramping down again. So my mind evens out, I guess. All right. So last one of the intervals, or warm-up intervals here. Starting to really loosen up and a little bit of pain in the legs, which is good. All right, so there you go. Warm-up set's done. Got about 4 minutes total for rest. First, and even pushing 200 for this on the easies. It's still doing something in your legs, but just flushed out the lactic pretty well, which is nice. And for 2.5 minutes easy in between the actual meat of the set, it's about 145, which will feel stupid easy for the first couple. Starts to feel harder and shorter for the rest as you progress. That's just fatigue talking. So, all right. So yeah, hope you guys are enjoying it. So, watching me suffer a little bit. I had a cycling coach tell me that you're not really done warm up until you're in at least a little bit of pain in the legs. You got to really open yourself up, as you call it, and touch those zones, even if it's just short 45 seconds. Your body wakes up and says, all right, it's go time. It's time to do this. I know what this feels like. I know what I'm doing. Especially for someone like me, I've been doing it for so long. Racing tried since I was 11, so 12, about 11 years now. Your body knows what to do. It just needs to be woken up. And it definitely is now. So for this 3 minuters, or 2 minuters, sorry, probably try and hold a little bit closer to race pace or race pace for my sprint distance triathlon, which is about 100. So still fairly high, but not the 110 that I was pushing before. Like I said, I'm about a third of the way done this bottle, third of the way done the other. So it's about half hour in. So that's pretty good. It'll be a real struggle when you're in the intervals to not want to drink, but you have to force yourself to do it. And your body will adapt over time to drinking that much liquid. You can train your gut, per se, to handle that, tolerate that, but the trick is to find just the upper limit of what you can tolerate to recover and what won't give you a bit of stomach troubles. Not so much necessarily on the bike, but when you're off the bike onto the run section, you'll know pretty fast if you messed up. Not enough, might start cramping or running out of energy. If you have too much, well, a little bit of time troubles jiggle belly, as I like to call it. You can just feel the water accumulating in your stomach and not really being absorbed. All right, 10 seconds here. All right. And the first one, just think about easy speed, just holding it. And all right, that's 380 here. All right. So overall, not too bad on that one. Sometimes first one for me feels the worst. Like just a little bit of stiffness, tightness, or whatever from the day before. And it's kind of a good day for me. Slowly feeling better and better as I go along. And on an activation day like this, where it's not super maximal, you shouldn't be popping by the end. You should feel better by the end than when you started. So, yeah, a little bit high on the cadence again, but that's just my style. So, yeah. For all y'all wondering too, I'm on like a Tax Smart Trainer that's just a wheel setup, but it has urge mode, and I'm reading both my cadence and my wattage through that, and I calibrated it fairly frequently. When I'm outside on my stage, make a habit of calibrating it pretty much every day, So 10 minutes into the ride, warm up. If it's a little, normally it stays pretty steady here right now because I'm not traveling. That can definitely throw off the sensor or big changes in temperature. But I'm pretty lucky that way, and you can generally you get to know the offset for the stages pretty well. Like around 839, 841 is an offset. I don't know exactly what that means, but as long as it's within that range, I don't get too worried. That definitely gets thrown out the window, of course, when you're traveling around. So, yeah, just being consistent with that and being able to really measure it, because I'll tell you a story on the next interval. I don't really have time here about calibrating and how important it is. All right, let's go. All right, so number 2 done. Like I said, better than the first, not as good as the next 3 as far as feeling goes. So, like I was saying, sorry, I got to catch my breath a little bit, but as far as calibrating your power meter, I was, in a race back in Kelowna a couple years ago, sitting on the trainer, really just trying to activate myself a couple days before, some like 3-minute set, 400 watts or something like that. So a pretty solid set, which I find I do need before racing. But I was just killing myself here. Got to move that, stay a little bit forward. I was just killing myself and couldn't figure out why. Was I just flat from the trip? Like I'd come back in for this race. So sitting there pounding, get halfway through, and I realized I hadn't calibrated my power meter since getting to Kelowna. And I calibrated it when I finished the next interval. And boy, I wish I half hour, 45 minutes earlier, because I gained about 50 watts doing nothing. So, instead of 400, trying to push 50, and that's pretty much 450. That's basically all out, or felt like all out at that time. So it was, just a dumb thing to do. And ever since then, I've been really intentional with keeping my power meter calibrated all the time. It makes such a big difference. But in the end, it didn't really end up mattering, as most of the Canadians would know. That race ended up getting canceled because of smoke. So just spent some nice time with my family, and before I headed on back to Europe. All right, perfect timing. 3rd one. All right. If y'all are new to Zwift. I'm still fairly new to it too. So you can see on the sidebar there, a little bit of wattage, placings and that kind of stuff, and watts per kilo. So for me, I'm about 150 this morning, 150.2. I track it just to make sure I'm not losing too much weight. That's the thing right now in big days. Like doing 6 hours, pretty easy to lose. For me, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. Majority of that's water weight, of course. It's hard to burn that many calories, but I would be very aware of that, my weight. Yeah, you can see about 68, 67 kilos. I'm not quite sure in the conversion, but yeah, it says your watts per kilo. So for these, I believe I'm pushing about 5.5, 5.6. They'll tell me on the side of the screen, but that's pretty solid. That's around close around what my FTP to get to, or my 20-minute power test. If I can push out on the range of 380 for 20 minutes on the watt or on the stationary here, it's a very big difference. And on the road for me, I find, and I'm sure many others will agree, I push about 5% lower on the trainer. I think it's just not being able to get out of the saddle and really use the bike to accelerate and move underneath you. It's very much seated, continuous power, which is a very good thing as far as conversion onto the road. It converts very well, but you can be pushing a little bit less. You have to be aware of that. All right, fourth one here. All right. So, like I said previously, my wattage is generally about 5% higher on the road. That's just how I operate, I guess. But so if you can hold that wattage on the trainer, it's really encouraging because you can do it on the road and feel a little bit more in control when you do so. And that's great because Zwift is awesome. You can race on Zwift, but you're not racing IT on the Zwift. Well, maybe now it will be, because it's all we got. But normally you're not. So, you know, it has to be transferable over to outdoors. Not the main thing I think about. You know, that's why I'm not, you can see sometimes I do go up to my, you know, the tops here to when you get fatigued, but I at least try and shift my hands always back to the hoods, at least, because that's far better position for me. You know, it's not very aerodynamic the way I'm set up right now, of course, but you just bend the elbows a little bit, and I find that's pretty comfortable and sustainable for me riding in a pack or flats. Of course, when you start going downhill or, you know, around corners, you want to obviously be in the drops. Just the most stable place and best for cornering, but I find if I spend too much time down there, it can really start to impact, you know, your back and your hips for down the run, because, you know, it's great to gain a bit more aerodynamics for the bike, but at what cost on the run is the big question you have to answer, and that's individual for everybody. All right, so last rep here, the best one. All right, go. All right, so that's it. 3 intervals. So now just for cool down, got about 15 minutes here to an hour 5. So yeah, it's pretty, that's the nice part about Zwift too, and trainer rides in general, is you can really get into it fast. And what I mean by that is you're not riding a half hour here to get your nice quiet road where you feel comfortable pushing these kind of watts and going at speed. You know, at 380, you're at least cracking 40k an hour pretty consistently. And you don't want to be stopping at lights or being surrounded by a bunch of traffic. It's just dangerous for both you and the cars. Most cars don't really understand that, you know, when people are cycling that fast and what 40k looks like, the bikes are coming up on you pretty quick. So You know, by that point, you're doing half hour out. Do the set, do about 45 minutes or whatever, half hour back. I can almost turn into a 2 hour ride while you're doing the same amount of actual quality, which sometimes ain't bad to add more time, but just on activation sets like this, it's nice to be able to get on, 16-minute warm up, 13-minute cool down, and just hit that solid 40-minute chunk in the middle with not a lot of overhead, I guess is the right way to put it. And we can always add more intensity very easily on the trainer. So, this is coming up to the end of the 2.5 minutes recovery here, and it just goes into the slow ramp back down on cool down. So back up to about 198. Feels pretty good, but it'll slowly go down. And as you can notice, when I get fatigued a little bit, not saying it was huge or anything, but a little bit of fatigue sets in, I tend to raise my cadence instead of dropping it. For me, that just allows myself to stay at pace and not really compromise my lung or my legs. So I found that's what works best for me. Do what works best for you. Listen to your coach, don't listen to me. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, watching me suffer a little bit. I'm going to do this again on Friday. I think I signed up for that race, the TT style race, so they have individual start times like corral, but I'll be warming up. The first person goes at 1 o'clock, so I will have to see when I go, but hopefully fairly soon. I don't want to be sitting there warming up for too long. Yeah, I'll probably be started 12:30. Want at least a good half hour warm up. Probably something fairly similar to this. Maybe a longer piece too. I find like a nice 2 to 4 minute interval before what will be 20 to 25 minutes of work. It's pretty nice because it's long enough to really start to feel it a little bit and burn, but not so long that you're wearing yourself out. It's a balance that you got to find. And for sure, is warming up hard, but not so hard that it's going to take away from your main piece of work. So, just zipping it back up now that you're not going hard. You can cool off fairly fast. And that's the last thing you want when you're covered in a little sweat like this is get cool off too fast, get you sick or something. That's definitely not the point of an activation workout. Things like that. Yeah, as far as water goes, pretty good. Almost done this thing. Well, I am now. So, but done that. Third of the way down this thing. We'll try and drink that pretty aggressively throughout cool down as well. Hopefully finish another half of that bottle. And we'll still need to chug probably 2 to 3 bottles, during gym, or 2 bottles during gym, another 2 to 3 afterwards throughout the night. Like I said, I sweat pretty heavily, and I did some sweat rate testing down in Australia. And for an hour run we did, lost 2.2 or 2.4 kilos of water. So that's 2.2, 2.4 liters, which is a pretty substantial amount, given it was high 30s, 80% plus humidity. So that's pretty extreme, but it's good to know when you're in that conditions how much you really do need to drink to replace that. And that's not an amount that pretty much anyone can handle. So you're obviously going to go in debt, but about minimizing that debt, especially for Olympic distance races, which is the longest I've done so far. I'm hoping to do half or something next year, at least. See what happens for 2021. But yeah, for 2 hour races, important to replace that liquid. So you're not, what, hour and a half in, get on the run, 3 and a bit kilos later. That's a pretty substantial amount. And it's definitely at the point now, or at the point where that water loss will significantly impact your performance on the run. So yeah, it's something that's really come along for me. Before I could not handle very much water whatsoever, but through just time and finding what works best for me, like a little bit of Gatorade with salt works good for me, or other, 6 to 8% carb solutions with water are pretty easily absorbed by your stomach. So definitely won't sit around and cause as much distress. But I'm not too fussed right now because I'm not about to go off and run. I'm about to go off and got a book in. I'm booked in for 3:30. I got 90 minutes now until lift weights. So yeah, it'll be good. Pretty excited for it. I just love feeling in the gym. For me, something I got a little bit out of the habit of for a couple years ago. This wasn't part of the program, and every coach has a different philosophy on it, but I know that I feel significantly stronger when I'm in the gym doing weights, doing exercises with low rep counts. You're producing significantly more force than you would just riding a bike. Even when you're doing an all-out 10-second sprint, you're not producing the same amount of force as you would on 5 by squat or something like that, or a deadlift. You just can't. So no, I've been really happy with it. I've been doing it for a few months now, actually, and really noticed the gains as far as resiliency goes, and soreness. It's big. I'm a lot less sore now than I was before, even day to day, and I'm able to recover from it better. And I think that's all partly due to the gym, a bit more taking care of myself too, a little better sleep quality and quantity. So that helps a ton too. So, well, halfway done. It's cool down here. Yeah. Oh, it goes by pretty fast. Surprisingly, kind of look at it some days and like, man, that's gonna take forever. But if you're able to really engage, you get into it, and having intervals on the Wind Trainer helps significantly as well. I grew up in Saskatchewan, so I've done 3-hour indoor rides on rollers or on stationary or whatever. And boy, if you're just going aerobic, that can feel like an eternity. Well, intervals, that's something to engage with, something to recover from on the easies, and it flies by pretty good. And I find I get a bit more out of that and just riding easy every day. That's my personal preference, though. Some people just love long, steady base miles, and more power to them. So yeah, with a set like that, probably not going to feel too sore tomorrow about it. Should feel pretty good actually, or hopefully. That's the goal. Kind of just, go through, the easy 40-minute, easy hour 20. You just feel like you're having to hold yourself back on days like that. And just be really conscious about not pushing too hard. You don't want to take away from Friday. This is like 48 hours prior, so 2 solid sessions before is pretty standard and reasonable. And it's something your body can recover from, will feel better from in 2 days. So, I'm pretty excited for it. Hope you guys are too, to come watch me suffer for a little bit longer than today. 2 minutes is pretty short in the grand scheme of things. So, it should be good. My training partner and I will be there as well. Or training partner will be there as well as me, Sharpie. So he's probably gonna kick my butt. He's been doing great on the bike lately. Oh, and the swim and the run, frankly. So he's been in pretty good shape. But I'm excited to see what I can do and hold my own with him. He's a pretty impressive cyclist, and I'm doing it for so long, you know, it's good to have that around every day. Like I know what that's like this morning when you got a little bit of fatigue in you, you're tired, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, you're at the pool. It's nice having someone else there to keep you accountable, to keep pushing you, and you know, I don't even need to say anything, just having them there and keep you motivated. Having someone else to gauge off of as far as pace and effort goes, and just hanging out with. It's super beneficial. Yeah. All right. Last 3 minutes here. It's getting pretty easy. So yeah, it's nice. Never really did the whole slow ramp up and slow cool down style of warm up. It was always just go outside and ride, sit on the trainer and ride, whatever pace feels easy to you. And oftentimes I found I was slipping into too easy or too hard. It's hard to find that right gauge for me. Like some mornings when you're stiff and you're on the bike, you can push like 110 watts or something, and that's not really gonna do much for me. It's like just above a quarter of my FTP, so it's almost useless at that point. But you know, having that erg mode set and you have to hold yourself accountable to hold those watts, it's pretty nice. You know, building up to like 180 can be pretty unpleasant some mornings, but definitely necessary if you want to perform in the main set. Cooling down too is good. Instead of slowing back down into 110 or something like that, you're slowly decreasing it, and having that little bit of thing in your legs helps you flush out the lactic a little bit more thoroughly, and that will help with soreness for the next couple days. Oh. Yeah, no, I can't really complain out right now. It's still pretty nice to be sitting on the porch like this and be able to have a bike rest. Pretty lucky. And it's good to have you guys watching. It's good fun to talk and just yap about random stuff with y'all, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. Yeah, if you want, you know, like and subscribe. I'm streaming this to a few platforms all at the same time, so I don't know what y'all will be on, but you know, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or a couple others. Hope you guys like, subscribe, you know, share it if you like. You know, I'm always looking to expand my social media profile a little bit. You know, especially right now, I got a little bit more free time with not racing. It's something I always wanted to build more into. This is the perfect opportunity for that. And yeah, no, I really appreciate it if you guys would do that. And yeah, coming up the last 30 seconds here, the last little blue gate. Feels kind of nice. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, for next ride will be Friday at 12:30 to 12:45, and that is Pacific Standard Time here. So hopefully I can catch there. I'm just gonna finish up this 9 seconds here, and I'll finish up the stream. Again, appreciate y'all watching, and I will catch y'all next time. Okay, guess y'all can see the little workout there.